I got this Case 580 that I inherited, and we've been putting, over the last few years, we put quite a bit of money into it, rebuilding all the cylinders because all but one of them were leaking. The front end is, you've got a button or a switch that'll make it four-wheel drive. That had been leaking, and what they originally told me was just every once in a while turn it until these two holes are horizontal. This is the fill hole. When you take this out, and it's just a regular, I think, 1/2-inch socket, you should just have the oil coming out. If not, top it off. And as long as you don't leave the property, you don't drive a hole real far and keep it topped off, it won't be a big deal. Well, I don't like that. I don't like oil coming out. It's polluting everything. It's wasting oil. And at some point I might need, I might miss it, get in a hurry or whatever. So we had the whole front end completely rebuilt. It's got a brand new turbocharger on it. I think it's got a new stack. I've got 2 new rear tires, 1 new front tire. So we've done a lot of stuff to it. So it's finally getting into the point that it's in good shape for the most part. The backhoe was really sloppy, and if you notice, all these pins and stuff look new, and they are. So the pins and the bushings are all new all through the whole backhoe. I do have one small leak right up here, and I'm hoping I can just tighten that and that'll be good. But this time, the last time I was going to use it, went around, I was going to greasing everything, because if you don't grease it, you have metal on metal, it's going to wear out really fast. So I just keep a grease gun in the backhoe all the time. I used to not be this fastidious about it, but considering how expensive one of these is, especially in the shape that this one's in now, we have put a significant amount of money in it, but it should be worth a lot now. And it should outlast me if I take care of it. Well, this particular fitting down here, when I put the grease gun on it, it would not accept the grease, and then I couldn't get the grease gun fitting off of it, and ended up breaking the little bulb here. So I did finish using it that day, but I vowed not to actually use it anymore because I'm hauling gravel with it and it's pretty heavy, until I got that fixed. So how do you fix that? Well, first you got to get new ones. So I wasn't sure exactly the size, so I got a whole collection off of, I think I just got this off of Amazon, or I might have walked into a parts store. This is the old one, and if you can notice, there are some of these that they stick straight out. There are some that are at a 45 degree, and there are some at a 90 degree. So first of all, you need the right angle, and you need the right threads. So with this one, you've got about 3 different thread sizes, or socket sizes that goes on it, and each one of them, you've got a straight, a 45, and a 90. This particular one is the 10 millimeter, is what it says, although I'm using an 11 millimeter, I believe. Yeah, an 11 millimeter socket on it. So I think the 10 millimeter is the threads, and 11 is the wrench or socket that you need. So I needed that one. Match up the threads, the size, all that kind of stuff. You see where this one is missing the little nipple, but it's still got the spring. That nipple has got just a little steel ball in it. And what that is for is to make sure grease doesn't come out. And for the most part, rain and stuff like that don't get in. You actually have to force that little steel ball against that spring to open it up to be able to get the grease through there. So I was able to use an 11 millimeter socket on it. I started backing it off, but this whole pin was spinning. So I had to put a pipe wrench on the other side to hold it in place until I broke it loose. Well, first I cleaned it out real good. I took just a small screwdriver and had some paper towels, and I just cleaned it out really good with that paper towel. I'd love to be able to find, and I might have to see if I can 3D print or something, a cap that will go over this. You can get caps that go over the nipple, but I'd like to have a cap that, especially a rubber one, that fit all of this, because especially with moving gravel and stuff like that, this can get absolutely packed and full of dirt and gravel and whatever else. Then you got to clean all that out, so you're not just forcing when you go to clean it, grease it. Not only can you get the fitting on and off, and grease it, but you're not actually forcing dirt and grit and stuff into the pin and bushing, which will wear it out. So I'd love to have a cap over that. But anyway, put the socket on it, unroll it, pull it out. Now the problem is, so in order to get the new one in, you've got to have it in a socket or a wrench or something, and a wrench won't fit, so you really need it in a socket. Well, if you put it in the socket, you'll notice it goes so far in, you can't get it started in the threads. So you need, whoops, you need something that will hang on to it and keep the threads exposed enough that you can get it in there and get it started. Well, what I did is I just took a piece of my paper towel and I just stuck some of that paper towel in there. Then I put the grease fitting, or what some of us call zerks or alamites. Just kind of pack it in there until you can get it in there, so you've got enough of the shoulders to be able to turn it, but it is standing proud, even if it's just a little bit off center. But that keeps it proud enough that when you put this in there, it's not going to sink in. You've got enough threads there and you got enough grip to get it started. Once you got the thread started, then go ahead and put it on the wrench, tighten it on down. So there is how to do that. Now my next thing is the grease gun, fixing the grease gun. Whoops. So here's, you know, a manual one. You can fill it through there. You can unscrew it, pack it, pull this down, lock it so that it's open, pack it, put it back, or just use a cartridge. And I'm just using the cartridge. Again, the cartridge, you open this up, pull this all the way down, insert the cartridge a certain way, put it back in there, and you're ready to go. The problem is this end right now, and it's kind of, this one is kind of cheap. So it went on that fitting, but it would not come off. And it ended up breaking the end of that nipple off into it. So what I need to do is try to replace. Now you can place the whole gun, you can buy the fitting and the hose, 2 or 3 different kinds of hoses, or hopefully I can just unscrew this fitting here and put a new one on. Now I've got regular ones and I've got a quick attach. I'm going to start by trying the quick release. Of course, most of the time when something is supposed to be easier, it ends up being harder. But I wasn't sure if I needed a regular wrench or if I needed vice grips, so I brought both. Let's see, lefty loosey. Let's see, open this up a little more. Okay, easy enough. It's a whole lot cheaper to do normally to do just that. These are a little bit more expensive, but I'm hoping that it will do better as far as grabbing on and being able to get released without continually breaking. Now the question is, are the threads appropriate? Good Lord. It's blowing away. Okay. And obviously you don't have to grease this because it's on a grease gun. So this seems to be doing just fine. Threading on. I'm not going to crank it down too hard. So I think supposedly you're supposed to be able to open it up, put it on the fitting, do that, it'll lock it down, and then you can open it up and bring it off. Let's see what happens. I've got it open, put it on there. That's pretty tight. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it feels full. So I'll put some in there. Now it's resisting. It may be going around it. Do that, and it pops off. Very good. Again, I would love to have a cap on that. Right on the one up top. Try this one. Now, it had grease on it, so it ended up with dirt and rock dust and stuff. Clean that off so you don't push any of that in there, and so that you actually can grip this thing better. So here you can kind of see it a little bit better. Goes on, clip it down, push 1, push 2, push 3, and there it is. And it is putting grease down in that joint so that as you move and stuff, you've got some lubrication. It's not metal on metal. So I'm going to finish doing the rest of these on the front. I don't plan on using the backhoe. I don't grease every joint every time. If I'm only going to use the front end loader, I grease the front. If I'm going to use the back, then I'll grease the back. If I'm going to use both, then I'll grease everything. And then of course you check your oil and all your other fluids and stuff as well. Okay, I think I got them all. And one question may be, how many of these grease fittings, Alamites, Zerks are there? It's going to depend on each machine, but for the most part, any place there is a swivel joint, any place there's something that rotates, there's going to be one. So I've got 1, 2, 3, we've got 4, got one up here, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, so this would be 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and actually 9. So best I can tell, I've got 9 on each side, so that's 18 just for the front loader. Just for the front loader. So I believe I've got all of those. I have put my grease gun, my paper towel, my screwdriver, all that kind of stuff back in there. I'm not going to leave the gloves in there. I need to put up my tools, and I don't know how much I'm going to get done, but I'll get done a little bit. With this much greasing, normally this would be good for half a day. I'm going to do a little bit of work, and if I don't get a whole lot done, then I'll pick it up in the morning, and I won't necessarily need to grease again first thing in the morning, because I will not have done that much. I don't want to waste grease. It's kind of hard to over grease it, although if you do over grease it, you just keep doing it, eventually you're going to get a whole lot of grease coming out in all these joints. That's going to need to be cleaned out, because all it does is it collects dust and dirt and stuff. It would be great if I had a good water supply and a pressure washer. It'd be great to clean all that out, and a lot of other stuff, cobwebs and stuff. I don't have that. So I am going to put up my tools, and I may set this up and let you see a little bit of what I'm doing, but we'll see here in a couple of minutes. So here's what I'm working on. I am trying to build this pad up, and the goal of this pad is to put a couple of shipping containers, one on this side, one on that side, with about 10 feet between them, 20-foot shipping containers to put lumber in. So I've got some lumber, some siding and stuff like that that's been sitting on a trailer under a tarp or a couple of tarps for a year or more, and I need to get it off the trailer so that I can use the trailer. And that would also allow me to make sure and keep the lumber dry, make sure it doesn't mold, and to sort and organize it into like the tongue and groove siding, regular 2x4s, 2x6s, dimensional lumber, 4x4s, stuff like that. Also, I have the sawmill, which I assembled and put in place in about 2020. Haven't really been able to use it. It's now 2026. So I'll probably have to at least clean the carburetor out and stuff. It will run the last time I checked, but it doesn't run great. We'll have to see, and then I got to check everything for level and all that kind of stuff. But if I mill something, I need a place to stack the lumber to dry. And so that will be the middle part. So the 2 shipping containers will be finished lumber storage. The middle area initially might be equipment storage until I run the sawmill. But once I start running the sawmill, that's where I'll stack the lumber to dry. And then once it's dry, then it goes into the shipping container. But I need to try to build this up as much as I can, keep it level. Now I could just build the back up and the front up, not worry about the middle, because the shipping containers, they rest on the 4 corners. So if I've got the front end supported and the back end supported, what's in between is irrelevant. But it would look nicer. Not to mention the middle probably needs to be fairly level for the drying. And I need the shipping containers level and true with each other, because I'd like to be able to put a roof over the whole thing, which is the whole point of being able to dry in the middle, is it needs a roof on it. All of this, if you look at some of my early videos, this all looked about like that. When I bought it, you could not drive through here. You would have had to walk. You might have been able to carefully use a dirt bike, a dual sport, maybe a quad runner. I'm not sure that a side-by-side would have been able to get through a couple of parts without flipping. So this is what I did with the backhoe to reacquaint myself with how to run a backhoe. I grew up on a farm running a John Deere, and definitely not a pro, but I was fairly competent. I mean, I grew up doing it and knew the controls, and would go out putting out levees, digging ditches, stuff like that. If I got stuck, I could use the backhoe to pretty much pull and drag myself out. So I was at least mildly competent. But I got off the farm in my 20s and I went to university, and I am now almost 60. So it's been 30-40 years since I've ran a backhoe until I got this one and started relearning, and it's got different controls than I am used to. So not only am I just out of practice in general, I had, prior to this case, I'd never used the style of controls that it's got. It's got a whole lot more levers, which makes no sense to me. If one lever can do 2 functions, I don't understand why you would design something where every level does 1 function. But here's 3 more loads of this chat. So this is a like 2-inch or smaller, and it's got what they call fines in it. So that's the stuff that will pack down in between and make that good road base, make that good base for foundation. Right now I'm in Poinsett County, just south of Jonesboro, and this comes from Black Rock, which is way over in Lawrence County across the river. So it's a pretty good distance. But the reason I spend money on it is there is a quarry probably about 3 miles from here, but this is what that quarry has. So this is what the county buys to do the roads with. It is as much sand as anything else, and every time there's the slightest rain, water just comes down, erodes the crap out of it, and then they come through and grade it. They are good about grading. I mean, this thing gets graded probably 3 times a month at least, but it's just sand. So it doesn't hold. It's not really a great base. It's not too bad once it's been graded for, you know, cars and trucks. It is horrible on motorcycles with all that sand. So I spend the money to get this brought over from Black Rock. Right now, with everything else going, and the guy that runs it, Bailey Trucking, he's got a his truck is, I think, a dual axle with a 3rd floater that he can put down. So you see this pile, I don't know how many yards or how many tons this is, but one load dumped here is about $500 right now. So here's $1,500 worth of gravel, and you can imagine over time how much I've used. When I first started getting it, it was probably around maybe $354, but over 2 or 3 years, cost of fuel especially going up, it just goes up. Now here's one thing to be careful of, if you're getting gravel, sand, something of that nature. Try to get it on a dry day. Don't get it on a day that's raining or immediately after it rained. Larger gravel without the fines, something that doesn't have the sand and stuff, the bigger stuff, it won't matter as much. But this stuff and sand will hold on to moisture. And I mean, the truck can only hold so much. It can only legally haul so much. So if it's raining when that trucks get loaded, or it's within about 24 hours or so, depending on the material, that it has rained, a good portion of what you're paying for being dumped is water. So try to, you know, talk to your driver or whoever you're getting it from, and try to make sure that it's a dry day. Not to mention, depending on where they're dumping it, make sure there's not going to be ruts. They're not going to be rutting it up and getting stuck. One thing about this particular location, this driveway is actually a utility easement. You see that power pole? There is actually power lines right here, goes all the way down. So where that comes into play for gravel for me is, for the most part, I've had him dump the gravel up there, and all of this I've taken bucket by bucket with the backhoe. Now, right in this area, he cannot tailgate it. Tailgating means he backs up here, he lifts the truck bed, and he'll set the tailgate open a certain gap, and then as he goes forward, he just lays out a thin layer. That is a much better way to do it. Basically, you're not paying any extra for getting it done, and then you're not having to spend money, time, wear and tear on your equipment trying to spread it out and get it smooth. Much better way. However, he gets too close to the power lines. Even though these are not energized, doesn't matter, you don't get anywhere close to power lines. Farther up, farther down, we're got enough distance that he can do it. But right in this area, it's low enough that it's just not worth the risk. So I could probably get him to dump it directly here. I mean, he could back up here and dump it, but then I would have those huge piles to try to spread out, which I could do. But the other thing about doing it the way I'm doing it is, I can put a thin layer, and then I just drive back and forth, packing it down and leveling that out a little bit. I know it doesn't look very smooth right now. I'm not too worried about it, but for the most part, I can pretty much smooth it out. But you're packing each 2 or 3 inch layer, and that works much better than just putting the whole load here and trying to pack it from the top. Because if you just try to pack it from the top and it's 3 feet deep, you're not packing the bottom of it at all. In a perfect world, I would do 2 or 3 inches, and rather than using the backhoe, I would actually have a regular flat or sheep's foot roller. You've seen them when they're putting out pavement and stuff. The thing got 2 big metal drums that drive themselves, and then some of them have got these spikes on them. They call them sheep's foot, and some of them actually vibrate, and they're full of water to get heavier. So a vibrating sheep's foot or something like that, maybe not a full sheep's foot, but the lugs would really pack this down much better. Luckily, this is not going to be a house. I'm not putting a foundation for especially a living structure here. It's a couple of shipping containers. I'm not going to have a ton of weight in them necessarily. They're not going to be moving around, and I'm doing this slow enough that I'm getting, you know, 2 or 3 layers packed down, get a couple of rains on it, another couple of layers, and then another rain or something. So it is starting to pack down much better. Anyway, enough of my long wind. I'm going to set this up, let it roll, and see if I can at least get a couple of loads in here before it's too dark and mosquitoes get bad.